Hey guys, it's Haley and welcome to another bookish video. Today I'm going to be recommending you some dark thriller and horror books to read during the holiday season. If you know anything about me, you probably know that I am a mood reader. I have to read books that match the vibe, the season, the weather that I am currently living in. I just love that feeling when a book kind of mirrors where you are. And there are just certain types of books that I love to read during the holiday season, not necessarily because they include Christmas. Some of these books do, they're set during the holidays or have like a Krampus plot line or something like that. But a lot of these just feel cozy, snowy, isolated, wintry, and I love that kind of a vibe for the holidays. And y'all know I'm not really about a holiday romance. I will read a couple, but I'm not the expert. So of course, this is going to be mostly horror and thrillers. Like I mentioned, there's a couple like mystery thrown in there and one dark romance, but they're all going to skew more dark than like your typical holiday book recommendations video. Before we get into the book recommendations though, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Alni, and let me show you what Alni does. Are you ready for it? Boom. Hello? Can you see that? Can you see my cutie little lights that I have back here? Oh my god! I have holiday lights. I have the most adorable holiday lights courtesy of Alni. Here is what they look like without my big filming lights on. They are so nice. They light up the room with just this soft glow. This is with no other lights on except for my little tree right here. And they're just absolutely so pretty. I love them, and they're all controlled by this little remote. So I can do all types of things with this. Dim them pretty dramatically, and I can also brighten them pretty dramatically as well. There are a lot of different patterns that you can set. Look how pretty that is. I like this like chaotic twinkle setting. It's insane. And the reason why this top thing isn't going is because it's on a different strand. So I'll just hit that one. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's crazy. Ooh, look how nice that is. So there are so many different patterns that you can set it to with this little remote, and you can also put it on a timer. I love that they're LED, so I can just leave them plugged in. I don't have to worry about batteries or little light bulbs going out. Here is what they look like close up. They are so high quality and easy to use, like a lot easier to use than the typical Christmas string lights that you will buy at the store. I also noticed that these don't get nearly as hot. Sometimes it freaks me out having lights like this on bookshelves, because obviously books are like, if there's a spark of a flame, your entire books go up in flames, and these do not get hot at all. I can fully wrap my hand around it and it actually feels cold, whereas the other like kind of, we'll say not high quality just standard lights that I had up during Halloween, they got really hot and kind of freaked me out. The LED lights from Alni are really high quality, so you don't have to worry about that. They come packaged super nice, and I had only 2 strands for my entire wall of bookshelves. Like half of them you can't even see right now, so they're really long. And as you can see, they're also really full. Like there are a lot of lights per point on the strand. Of course, they have different lights for all different seasons, all different occasions, but if you're looking for some holiday lights, this is a great option. They have all different types, not just these, and they work for indoor and outdoor. And they are an environmentally friendly material as well, which we love, an ethical, sustainable brand as well. So if you want to check out Alni for yourself and get some beautiful holiday lights, I will go ahead and link them down below. Thank you so much to Alni for sponsoring this video, and now let's go ahead and get into the book recs. I want to start out with recommending one of my recent favorites. Oh my god, when I read this book, it was such an easy 5-star, and the whole time that I was reading it, I was thinking like,
Haley, file this away so you can recommend it when it comes wintertime,
because it is the perfect vibe for that. And that is This Is Where We Talk Things Out by Caitlin Marceau. Y'all know Caitlin Marceau's work has been really resonating with me. I love it. I think she's so talented. This Is Where We Talk Things Out is a little horror novella about familial trauma. Really, that's like the whole crux of it. That is the horror, is really psychological, but there's also some like body horror, some super freaky darkness in here as well. So it's not all just psychological, but we are following a girl who is about to get married to her future wife, and her mom is not on board with this relationship. So she ends up going on a little trip with her mom to this snowy cabin situation to try to reconnect with her and reconcile with her before she gets married. And her mom, unbeknownst to her, is taking her there for some not so pure purposes, we'll just say that. So things go absolutely off the rails from there. Obviously, it's the perfect little cozy Christmassy vibe because they're staying at this snowy cabin. It's a little getaway, so if you are going on a snowy getaway, this would be the perfect book to read if you like something that matches your atmosphere and you really want to freak yourself out, like staying in a snowy cabin at night. Read this book. It's also just so wonderful. I love the LGBTQIA rep. I absolutely love the psychological horror. The familial trauma was visceral. Like, it felt a little too real, honestly. I was highlighting the boots. So if any of that sounds like something that would resonate with you, you have to pick this one up. It's so fast-paced, such a quick read, and just so good. And I did mention that I have one dark romance on this list, and that is Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. And this is branded as a dark romance, but really it reads like a thriller, and it goes really dark. So it has those horror elements in there as well. We are following a girl and her future brother-in-law as they are kidnapped, and they kind of trauma bond through this horrifying experience, and we actually follow them in this like dank, dark basement where they're kept as prisoners, which is totally horrifying. But when they come out of this situation, which is not a spoiler, I believe it says that on the back, they don't know how to live in the normal world, and they're super trauma bonded with each other, which is kind of awkward because this guy is supposed to marry her sister. So there's a lot of messiness, a lot of drama. It's honestly, sometimes it reads really cringe, which to me, dark romance just reads really cringe a lot of the time, but the twists are so crazy, the drama is so scandalous, and the horror is so disgusting and visceral that it kept me flipping pages and intrigued the entire time. And this just reads really Christmas coded to me. There are a lot of scenes that happen around the holidays. They are kidnapped on this like cold, blistery night before Christmas time. And then there's a lot of like readjusting after they are recovered from the kidnapping situation that happens around Thanksgiving and Christmas. So a lot of it just takes place in like cold weather. There's a lot of like vibey talk of like wearing little bobble hats and, you know, putting up the Christmas tree as they're like grieving and crying and things like that. So it's perfect for this season, especially if you like a dark book. But of course, all the trigger warnings with dark romance, so make sure you look into that. Next up, I want to recommend The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I read this one, I believe in like the late spring, early summer or something like that, and I really loved it. I thought it was so much fun, but the whole time I was thinking I wish I read this in the winter, because we are following a girl who is taking care of this beach house during the off season. So it's wintry, it's rainy, it's cold, and obviously nobody's at the beach except for the people that are like sitting there watching these vacation homes, making sure like vagrants don't break into them. And this girl is just sitting in this house reading basically shitty Kindle Unlimited like indie horror books, which we've all been there. It's so fun. I love doing that. It passes the time. It's fun, whatever. Well, our main character ends up coming across this horror book that is just reading like an incel wrote it. We've all also been there. And so she leaves this scathing 1-star review, and the author absolutely freaks out. They have this absolutely insane back and forth online in the comments of the review that she gave 1 star. Like, can you imagine that happening? That is so unhinged. What would you literally do if you just posted a 1-star review because you read the book and you reviewed it, and then an author started commenting back to you on the review? Can you imagine that? That is so fucking crazy. Like, insane. Well, then things start to happen around the house that she's watching, and she's thinking, is it possibly this unhinged incel author coming to kill her for revenge for her 1-star review? It is creepy, rainy, cold, atmospheric, perfect for winter, but also just absolutely unhinged. Like, it has some of the most well done, clever, funny, dark commentary I've read. It really deeply resonated with me. I can't imagine why. I'm sure you can't either, but it is so good, especially in hindsight. Wow, what a fun time. Like, it was such a fun, crazy, twisty time while I was reading it, but then in hindsight, it's a little real as well. We can say that this is ridiculous all day long, but at the end of the day,
It's not quite funny now, is it? Alright, moving on.
Next up, jumping back into horror, I have Disco Death Trap by Cameron Rubik, and this is an indie horror that does not read like an incel wrote it, and that did not get 1 star from me. Not anywhere close. I actually gave it 4 stars. I loved it so much. It is just a fun, snowy slasher, perfect for winter time. It actually takes place on New Year's Eve. I think this would be such a fun New Year's Eve read. I was kicking myself for reading it when it was 90 degrees outside, because it is all about this group of teens that gets locked in to the roller rink to have this little New Year's Eve lock-in party, and then they discover that they're locked in against their will, not just for a fun time, and they're getting picked off one by one by this killer. It is super snowy. There's a lot of like isolated snowy atmosphere, and it is just a bloody fun time. Not too deep, no thoughts, head empty, just fun slasher, gory vibes. And it takes place in the 80s, which is so nostalgic and fun. It just reads like a paperback from hell kind of vibe, but it's modern and it's just so much fun. The killer reveal at the end, it definitely shocked me. I didn't see it coming. And that's really all I was asking for from this book. Good atmosphere, good kills, good pacing, fun time, shocking killer reveal. Boom, hits all the boxes for me. Next up, I have a recommendation that's more of a mystery, something like a little bit cozier, if you will, which I love those kind of vibes for winter, and that is the Finley Donovan series by Elle Cosimano, and this is the 3rd book that I'm just holding up for the sake of holding something up. I haven't read the 3rd book, but I read the 1st and 2nd, and I absolutely love them. They're kind of branded as cozy mysteries, but basically, starting from the 1st book, we are following this newly divorced mom, and she is a writer. She is struggling to support her kids on her own because her deadbeat ex is not trying to support her and her kids anymore. And she's meeting with her literary agent, literally in a Panera Bread, and she's saying like, I don't know what I'm gonna do for my next book. What if I did this like crazy thriller? And she's talking about the plot of this thriller where she's gonna write about an assassin, and the woman sitting behind her at the Panera Bread mistakes her conversation and actually thinks that she is an assassin instead of like an author writing a fictional thriller about an assassin. And so she gets wrapped up in this assassin plot for this rich woman who offers to pay her a bunch of money to kill her husband. It is so funny, but it also has that like thrilling murder mystery atmosphere. All of the installations of this series take place in like fall and winter, and it just has that like generally cozy energy. So even if we're not like actively following holiday times, I don't know, it just reads very winter to me. And there are cute little romance subplots. These books are so funny and just pure entertainment. Again, no thoughts, head empty, not deep, just fun. If you're looking for something that's a little bit more on the nose Christmas, I would recommend Lucky Girl by M. Rickert. And this is a Krampus kind of horror novella. So it's kind of like I wouldn't say a retelling, but like a Krampus inspired horror story. And what happens in this book is this Christmas dinner with a bunch of writers. They're all like horror writers, which I love horror books about horror writers. I just think that's so fun. And they all are having this Christmas dinner together, and someone suggests they each go around and tell a Christmas horror story. And of course, one of them is about Krampus, and telling the story of Krampus may unleash some kind of evil that they have to deal with in real life. So it's not just a story. And it is so fun, so intriguing. I actually gave this 5 stars because of the insane twist at the end that I did not expect for the life of me. It has the perfect Christmassy atmosphere. It's so creepy and again, just unpredictable. It's a quick read if you're looking for something darker that's still Christmas coded. This is your girl. Something much lighter is Silent Night by R.L. Stine. This is a Fear Street book. I would kill for a first edition, first printing of this book. This is like the fucking like new Amazon like print of it because I just wanted to read it. But if anyone has a vintage copy of this book, I will literally pay you so much money. I love the Silent Night books. They're probably my favorite like little offshoot series in the Fear Street universe. And of course, as you can tell by the cover, you can probably tell that this takes place during Christmas time. And we are following Reva Dalby, who's kind of this like hoity-toity rich girl on Fear Street. And her daddy owns Dalby department stores, just like very much giving that kind of a vibe. Like my father is the owner of Toaster Strudel, Gretchen Wieners kind of energy. And she has a stalker. Someone keeps leaving really creepy, unnerving things for her to find, and people keep dying around her. So she's trying to figure out who it is. It is so campy and fun to see all the like creative ways the stalker messes with her. Some of them are actually really dark, but of course this is a YA book, so it's not like something absolutely insane, but for YA it's pretty dark. And the whole like stalker killer reveal was a surprise to me. It was so easy to read, just so much fun. Fear Street books are 90s coded, so they're very nostalgic, and it takes place in a department store during Christmas time, so it's that like very like early 2000s Christmas movie. I'm thinking like Jingle All the Way kind of vibe. So much fun. 5-star. Easy. Something that's a little less Christmas and a little bit more snowy is Near the Bone by Christina Henry. This was another one that was just such an easy 5-star for me. So we are following a woman who is basically trapped and isolated on this mountain. It's super snowy, so the like snowy isolated vibes are coming through. This is my favorite kind of atmosphere to read from in the winter. And she's basically alone out there. It is just her and her partner. And this man is a little creepy, a little scary. He has her isolated up there. It's kind of giving like low-key abusive relationship vibes, so trigger warnings for that. But she basically doesn't see another soul on this mountain. It's just her and her crazy mans. And one day she sees something in the snow, in the woods, that lets her know that they might not be alone on the mountain. So not only is she stuck there with this man, but there also might be a creature or a person out there hunting her. It is so creepy. It literally had me on the edge of my seat, like turning on lights in my house because it was so freaky. And I do not get scared like that when reading horror books. Like I really don't. There's just something about a snowy, isolated setting that freaks me out so much. And this book was so well done. It's beautifully paced, super fast and easy to read, but it didn't like leave me hanging at the end. Like it really ended and wrapped up nicely. It felt like a full story, even though it was very fast and like edge of your seat vibes. The twists were phenomenal. The horror was phenomenal. The character development was phenomenal. The commentary on just like relational dynamics was phenomenal. I love everything about this book. If you're gonna pick up one snowy horror this season, make it be near the bone. Next up, I have a book that I actually just read in October, but I really think that it would resonate in the winter season as well, and that is Cackle by Rachel Harrison. I've been doing a lot of raving about Rachel Harrison lately because she is like my new favorite author. I'm just absolutely obsessed with all of her books, and Cackle to me is just so easy to read. When I think of Cackle, I think of just like curling up by a fire with a blanket and opening this book, and it's just so atmospheric and nice, and blustery wind is blowing through, and it's more like autumn coated, like it's giving Gilmore Girls energy, so it would work for more like the season right now, but it would also work for Christmas because there's a lot of holiday talk in here. Like there's a whole Thanksgiving scene, there are multiple like Christmassy scenes. This book takes place over a long period of time, so all the holidays are covered, but it is just so atmospheric, like cozy, wintry. I just want to curl up in a blanket, and then all of a sudden it'll smack you across the face with psychological horror, because we are following this girl who goes through a breakup and moves to this small town, and everyone there kind of seems afraid of the one woman that she's actually managed to make friends with, and she starts to suspect that the person that she's befriended is the town witch. So she gets caught up in her witchy dynamics, and she's also trying to find herself and grieving this relationship. It's like pretty much the first time that she's been single in her adult life, which she's grappling with. So it's about our main character's development and transformation. She's coming into herself. There's a lot of great commentary there. And then there's like little kooky, fun horror of like spiders and witches and like cozy things like that. And then there's the like actual deep well of psychological horror that is like being a woman in the world and dealing with relationships and like shitty men. So there's that. But it was so easy to read. I just flew through this because it felt so viscerally relatable. It was such an easy 5-star. Next up, we're gonna go back into snowy, isolated horror with Stolen Tongues by Felix Blackwell. I know that this one is super controversial. I feel like people will either give this 5 stars or 1 star. Me personally, I gave this 5 stars. Like, I absolutely love this. This is in the top 5 books that have scared me the most. Like, actually sitting on the couch frozen, scared and chilled to my bones, cannot get up, have to scream across the house for Cameron to come help me, like turning on all the lights because I was scared to sit in the dark while I was reading this. Oh my God. So effective. A lot of people say this is slow, so if it's not scaring you, it's just not gonna work for you. But if it is scaring you, like it really gets you. And like I said, the snowy, isolated setting, something about it is just so freaky to me. I think because I've lived in Texas my entire life, I've never really seen snow other than the one time I went to Chicago. Yeah, I can't really picture snow. So it's just, it feels like a whole other world to me, and it's so freaky. In this book, we are following an engaged couple, and they are taking their little like engagement moon to celebrate being each other's fiance, and they're staying at this little cute snowy cabin, but something is stalking outside the walls. And the woman starts talking to this creature in her sleep, communicating with it in this crazy foreign language, and the man is like, what is going on with my betrothed? Like, is she going around the bend? Does she have this weird connection with this horrifying monster? Like, what's going on here? And after they come back from their snowy getaway, it follows them and it wants something from them, and they're both trying to figure out what that is. I won't give anything else away, but just know it is so good. It's definitely character driven, so if you don't like that, don't pick it up. It's definitely psychological, so if you don't like that, don't pick it up. There's definitely some like odd lore in here. If you can't get past that, don't pick it up. But for the people who this is for, it's really for us, and I see you, because I was literally frozen in fear while reading this. If you're gonna read this book, highly recommend following along with the audio, because like the weird tongues and like language, things, it would be hard, I think, for me to just read that on my own, but the creepy voice that's used in the audio, oh my god, it made it so much scarier for me. Next up, I have a book that's definitely dark and thrilling, but I don't think many people would classify it as a thriller or horror book, and that is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. This is about a group of people that are touring a flat, and they all get held hostage by a gunman. So it's a very heart-pumping, thrilling situation, but the story goes into kind of like what led all these people to be in this situation, the backstory, and it's very slow and character-driven, more of a mystery, even though it opens with like this bang of a hostage situation. So not only are we following the gunman, but we're following the people that are held hostage in the flat, the real estate agent, and we're following the cops that are trying to defuse the hostage situation. And basically trying to figure out who is this gunman and why are they holding this group of people hostage. And in that, we go into the psychology of all the different people that managed to cross paths that day, and it is so triggering, so heavy. We go into a lot of mental health content. It's called Anxious People because obviously you would be anxious while in a hostage situation, but it goes beyond that because there's a lot of really wonderful mental health rep in here. It's great in its representation, but it is also really dark and has the potential to be really triggering. A lot of suicide content and grief content, depression content, anxiety content, just like runs the whole gamut basically. And it takes place in Sweden, I believe, in the like holiday times. It's very wintry, Christmassy. It talks about like the holiday season and giving and things like that. And it's just very deeply meaningful to me. So while this is like a dark, thrilling book, it's also deeply commentary heavy and very emotional. If you're looking for something like that, which I kind of like to read more emotional things around the holiday season, this is a great one. And another one that I love the audiobook for, it has a full cast. Some of the voices are accented, so they're a little hard to follow. Some people have said that they're annoying. I love audiobooks with a full cast though, because it helps me keep everybody separate whenever there are different perspectives. So if you like that, try the audio. And my last book that I have to recommend to you to round out the dozen is Secret Santa by Andrew Schaefer. And this is obviously the most Christmas coded horror book that I could recommend you. And I loved it so much. It has this really light, funny, easy to read voice to it, but it's also really dark and thrilling and just like weirdly like intriguing. I don't know. Basically, we are following this girl who's working for a publishing company. She like just got a job at this publisher, and it's the 80s, so horror is blowing up. Horror paperbacks are blowing up, and she is on the front lines of that. But because she doesn't come from like a horror background, her coworkers are kind of like picking on her. She's kind of getting bullied in the office, and there's this Secret Santa exchange in the office, and that's where things really go off the rails and start to go wrong because someone gives her a very mean-spirited Secret Santa gift, and then all of these weird things, creepy things, murderous things start to happen around the office, and she believes that it is due to this malicious Secret Santa gift. Things go absolutely wacko off the rails from there. I won't even attempt to spoil it because it's so crazy. But this is just like a fun, wild, twisty time, and it's so easy to get into. It's so Christmas coded, like, and it takes place in the 80s, like nostalgic. I love reading nostalgic stuff around the winter time too. I don't know why. I think Christmas time is just a really nostalgic time for me because I always think of like growing up, how Christmases were, being with my family, yada da da da. And there were certain movies that we would watch like every single Christmas that are older, and a lot of them take place in the 80s. So it just reminds me of that, but it's also like that fun, mysterious, dark horror that I love. So it's like the two in one. perfect. So those are all of the holiday, winter, horror, thriller-ish, whatever books that I have to share with you guys. I hope you got a couple of good recommendations from this video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you again to Alni for sponsoring this video. If you guys are interested in getting some really cool versatile holiday lights, I will again link them down below for you to check them out. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to go to therapy and read a book this week. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!